They tried to bury you, but the fools forgot. Seeds grow in darkness. To the ones who played games in silence, who moved like snakes in the grass, your time is up. You struck when you thought the lights were off, thinking no one would see. You smiled in faces you secretly hated and laughed behind backs you now fear. You never saw the storm coming, did you? But the universe did, and it never forgets who its chosen are. Before we dive in, like and subscribe to help spread this message to more chosen ones. When you engage with content like this, it tells YouTube to push it out to those who need it most, those waking up to their power, breaking free, and rising. Have you ever felt like you were walking through life unseen, underestimated, doubted, even by yourself? Like your light was dimmed on purpose? That's no accident. The chosen are often hidden in plain sight. The universe does that on purpose. You weren't late. You were protected. You weren't weak. You were being prepared. And now that you're starting to see clearly, they can't handle it. They thrived when you were unsure, when you questioned your worth, when your back was against the wall. They moved against you thinking you were just another name, another face, easy to forget. But they weren't going up against you. They were going up against something much bigger, something they couldn't understand. You were chosen by the universe, marked with light that burns through lies, silence, and betrayal. And now, that light is no longer hiding. The power of being chosen is not just a blessing. It's a haunting to those who tried to hurt you. You are the echo of everything they fear. You are the mirror they cannot bear to look into. You remind them of what they'll never be, because no matter how hard they try, they can't fake being chosen. That kind of energy doesn't come from pretending. It comes from surviving. You see, the universe doesn't pick favorites. It picks fighters. It chooses those who can bleed and still rise. It marks the ones who have been broken 100 times and still show up whole. And you, chosen one, you carry that mark. That's why they couldn't destroy you. They were never fighting just you. They were fighting destiny. They see it now. Every move they made against you is coming back like a boomerang wrapped in fire. That fake smile, that betrayal, that smear campaign, it's all coming undone. They can't take the heat because your truth is not warm. It's scorching. It's what burns through illusions, exposes the hidden, and forces the masks to fall. And you need to stop doubting your own light. You need to stop walking like you're still in hiding. You're not alone, and you never were. The universe moves with you, not behind you. You were placed in the dark so that your light would be undeniable when it came. And now it's here. You are here, and the world is watching. Remember this. The ones who tried to dim your light are now blinded by it. They wanted the silence of your failure. Instead, they got the noise of your rise. Keep rising. Let the fire in you grow hotter. Let your presence continue to disturb the demons that once danced around you. You were never just surviving. You were preparing for the reveal. And now, you're the storm they can't outrun. So if this message is striking something deep inside you, don't scroll just yet. That pull you're feeling, that's not random. It's the universe confirming what you've always known. You are chosen, and those who had no issue hurting you in the dark are about to feel the heat now that your truth is rising. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you're ready to let that fire speak for you. Stick with me, because what's coming next will make everything they did to break you look small. And now, let's go deeper, step by step. If you're truly chosen, you'll feel it. Let's get into it. Number 1. They burned bridges, thinking you'd never build a kingdom. They didn't just underestimate you, they bet against the universe, and the universe always collects. Their cruelty wasn't loud, it was casual, slick, subtle, the kind of venom that slips in with a smile, the kind of betrayal that feels like a joke until the damage is already done. They hurt you like it was nothing, as if your heart was just another thing to toss aside. They moved like they'd already won, like the game was rigged in their favor, and you, just a pawn, just background noise in their twisted little victory dance. But what they didn't know was that you were never playing their game. You were chosen by a different force, a force that doesn't make noise when it moves. But when it moves, everything changes. They were laughing while the truth was hidden, while your crown was still buried in dirt, while your name was still whispered only in quiet corners of your own mind. And now, that same truth is crawling out of the shadows, dressed in fire, and headed straight for their illusions. They can't take the heat because they lit the match and forgot who was holding the flame. They thought you were just another stepping stone, just another soul to walk over. Their actions were so cold, so dismissive, it almost felt personal. But in truth, it wasn't even that deep to them. It was reflex, habit, cruelty coded into their survival instinct. You were the quiet one, the patient one, the unseen one. And in their world, silence meant weakness, stillness meant stuck, waiting meant losing. But oh, how wrong they were. You weren't still, you were loading. You weren't silent, you were listening. And you weren't stuck, you were being aligned. Chosen ones, listen closely. How many times did you question your path, not realizing the universe was rerouting traffic just to clear the road ahead for you? How many nights did you cry, thinking no one was coming, not knowing the cosmos had already sent backup in spiritual armor? How many times did you beg for proof that you weren't alone, when your very survival was the proof? You see, when you're chosen, you're hidden first, protected by the very invisibility that almost broke you. That cloak of silence wasn't punishment, it was preservation. You were never weak, you were never forgotten. You were being stored, like a weapon held back until the moment of war. So to those who played with your name, who tore holes in your trust, who watched you bleed and still asked why you weren't smiling, this is your warning. You weren't hurting a person, you were picking a fight with the system itself. You were mocking the alignment of stars that birthed a soul strong enough to survive you. And chosen ones, let's not pretend you didn't help them. You dimmed your light so they could shine. You shrank yourself so they'd feel taller. You stayed quiet when they painted you as the villain in their own disaster. You let them take credit for things you built. You gave them chances when all they gave you was doubt. And worse, you started to believe them. You questioned the fire in you because they kept throwing water on your dreams. You looked for validation in eyes that were never meant to see your worth. But here's the truth. You are not here to be understood by those who fear light. You are here to blind them, to expose the cracks in their masks, to show the difference between being seen and being revealed. And now they're choking on the smoke of the bridge they burned, because here you are, still rising, still chosen, still alive. And worse for them, You remember everything, every sly comment, every backhanded compliment, every time they ghosted you, lied to you, used you, every time they acted like you didn't matter, because to them you didn't. But you matter to the universe. And when the universe selects someone, there's no boardroom, no smear campaign, no spell, no scheme that can undo that. They weren't just mocking you, they were mocking the system. They were mocking the order of things. And now that order is coming back for balance. Your light isn't just here to glow, it's here to scorch. And the ones who played games in the shadows are now screaming in the light they never thought would come. You weren't a phase, you were a prophecy. And they laughed. Let them laugh now, let them squirm, because your power isn't just rising, it's echoing. You've become a walking reminder of everything they hoped would stay buried. And they can't unsee you now, they can't undo the truth. They can't undo you. So, if you've ever doubted your path, if you've ever asked, why me? The answer is simple. Because only the chosen are tested like this. Only the chosen are forged in fire and still come out whole. Only the chosen make their enemies panic just by existing. They thought they could cut you down before you bloomed. Now they're trying to erase your roots before your name grows too loud. But it's too late. The kingdom is being built. The empire is rising. And the very bridges they torched are now the light posts guiding others to your gates. Let them sit with the silence of being wrong. Let them wrestle with the reality that your glow-up wasn't luck. It was law, universal law. And the universe? It's loyal to its chosen. You were hidden to be made holy, broken to become bulletproof. And now the ones who played God are watching the real power walk in. And guess what? It's wearing your face. Number 2. They danced on your silence, not knowing it was the calm before their storm. They thought they had you cornered. They smiled, shook hands with their own shadows, and walked away like they won. Like they'd crushed your spirit, like they had stripped you of your worth and walked off with your light. They whispered to each other, "That one's finished." They sat in rooms full of ego, convincing themselves that your silence meant defeat. But what they never understood is that you let them think they won. You watched them play pretend, watched them put on masks, watched them celebrate illusions. You saw it all, and you let them. You let them strut through their fake victories, allowed them to speak your name with disrespect. Let them wear pride like armor they didn't earn. You didn't fight it, not because you were weak, but because you were wise. You knew better than to interrupt karma when it's setting the table. Chosen one, the real ones don't make noise when they're rising. The real ones don't flinch every time they're hit. You absorbed it all. Every insult, every betrayal, every dirty look, every back turned when you needed support. You took the pain like bricks to your foundation. While they thought they were tearing you down, you were actually building. Every stone they threw just added to the fire, and that fire, it's burning now. You were never powerless. You were patient. They couldn't see the power swelling in you because they were too busy measuring strength by volume. And you were quiet, controlled, calculated. They thought their actions broke you, but all they did was fuel your evolution. Every time they laughed at your struggle, mocked your dreams, or doubted your resilience, they fed the storm that now has their names written in the wind. They couldn't comprehend the magnitude of your strength because they never had any of their own. They thought survival looked like dominance. You showed them it looks like restraint. You didn't need to clap back. You didn't need to beg them to see your worth. You didn't need to shout your pain from rooftops. You simply watched, waited, learned, grew. That's what makes you dangerous. Not just that you survived, but that you saw through it all and said nothing. You didn't expose them when you could have. You didn't destroy them when you had the chance. You let the universe handle what it always handles best: balance. They played with your dignity like it was disposable. They played with your silence like it was permission. They played with your light like it was a spark they could put out. But chosen ones don't go dark. We recharge. And when we come back, we don't ask for a seat at the table. We bring the whole damn house. You let them think they had the upper hand because their minds were too small to grasp the scale of your comeback. They thought you were finished when you were just getting started. That's the cruelty of their ignorance and the power of your patience. And let's not ignore the part where some of you started to believe them. You started to question your own power. You wondered if maybe you were losing, that maybe all the silence, all the isolation meant you'd been forgotten. But let this burn into your spirit. Power doesn't shout. It doesn't panic. It knows its time is coming. And now, your time is here. The truth is out. The illusions are crumbling. The very people who thought they broke you are watching in disbelief as you rise from the ashes they poured on your name. You are walking proof that silence is not surrender. It's strategy. That humility is not weakness. It's preparation. They can't handle the heat now because they were never built for the fire they started. And you are the fire, the storm, the consequence they never saw coming. So no, you didn't lose. You let them play checkers while you studied the entire board. You let them feel powerful while you rebuilt yours in silence. You let them think they won because the real victory, it was never theirs to claim. Number 3, they mocked what they couldn't measure until the truth rose and made them choke on it. They thought you were simple, easy to define, easy to dismiss. You didn't speak too loudly, didn't show off, didn't need the spotlight, and they mistook that for smallness. They saw your calm and assumed weakness. They saw your silence and called it emptiness. But chosen ones are never empty. We are oceans beneath still skies. We are storms that don't show on the radar until it's too late. They believed they could hurt you because they couldn't see your truth. That was their fatal mistake. See, when someone is bound by insecurity and limitation, they can only recognize power that looks like them, loud, flashy, superficial. But your greatness, it was silent, it was layered, it was divine, and that scared them. They couldn't put a label on you, couldn't box you in, couldn't predict your next move. So they tried to tear you down instead. That's what the small-minded do when they meet something vast. To them, you were just another name, another quiet voice, someone easy to overlook. They never imagined that behind your eyes was an ancient knowing, that within your soul was a fire kept low by design, not by lack. You weren't born to be seen early. You were born to be revealed when the world was ready, and when your enemies least expected it. That's the danger of underestimating the chosen. You don't just get it wrong. You light a fuse you can't put out. The truth was never going to stay hidden. The universe doesn't invest its energy into someone just to keep them invisible. Your silence was temporary. Your hiding was strategic. Your low season wasn't failure. It was the setup. And Now the truth is on the rise, and they can't take it. They're squirming now, feeling the pressure, scrambling to rewrite their narratives. But the truth doesn't need permission to rise. It doesn't ask to be accepted. It comes like fire through the cracks of the lies they built. It comes like thunder through the silence you once held. It comes like judgment they never saw coming. And now they're being forced to witness it. The same people who said you were nothing now have to watch you become everything they feared. The same ones who mocked your ideas, who laughed at your pain, who cast doubt on your dreams. Now they can't sleep. Because your success is speaking the truth they tried to silence. Your rise is exposing their shadows. Your glow is forcing them to confront their own emptiness. Chosen one, they never knew who they were dealing with. They thought they were fighting a person. They were fighting purpose. They thought they were blocking your path. They were standing in the way of a tidal wave. They thought their lies could hold you down. But lies have no weight when truth starts to rise. And your truth? It's not just rising, it's roaring. It's rewriting the entire story they tried to write for you. And let's be honest, some of them are still trying to figure out how you didn't break, how you didn't lose your mind, how you kept walking with dignity when they tried to shame you into the ground. They can't explain it, and they never will. Because what kept you going wasn't anything they could touch. It wasn't pride. It wasn't ego. It was alignment. It was the universe rearranging itself to protect its own. You didn't fight alone. You were never alone. Every setback, every betrayal, every closed door was a redirection, not a rejection. And now those closed doors are being kicked wide open by truth. Your truth. Let this be known. The truth of the chosen always rises. It rises through smoke. It rises through betrayal. It rises through silence, through isolation, through every lie they told to make you forget who you were. But the truth never dies. It just waits. And when it rises, it doesn't just shine, it scorches. So let them choke on the light. Let them stumble in confusion. Let them replay the moments they thought they were clever, powerful, untouchable, because the truth is here now. And it's not just yours to hold, it's yours to live. Boldly, unapologetically, loud. You are the truth wrapped in flesh, the mystery they never solved, the fire they tried to put out, now burning in front of them. Let it rise, let it roar, and never again, let them tell you who you are. Number 4, they built castles out of lies, and now they're crumbling under your truth. And then it happened. Not with fireworks, not with a dramatic speech or a stage to stand on. No, it came quieter than that, like a whisper slicing through the noise, the kind of quiet that makes people nervous, the kind that turns arrogance into silence. Their illusions didn't explode. They cracked, slowly, relentlessly, and you didn't have to say a word. You just kept moving, kept rising, kept existing in a truth they never believed would show up. But the truth doesn't need your enemies to believe in it. It just needs time. And when the time is right, it rises like a tide. You can't stop it. You can't outrun it. You can't deny it when it's staring you in the face. They felt the shift before they understood it. They couldn't explain it, but they sensed it. The air around you changed. The energy hit different. That quiet presence they once laughed at, it became loud, without making a sound. And suddenly, they couldn't look at you the same way. That's the thing about illusions. They only work on the blind and your enemies. They built their entire perception of you based on who you were in your silent season. They believed their own lies, believed you were powerless, forgettable, weak. But illusions only last until the truth shows up. And when your truth arrived, it came for everything. Their confidence cracked. The fake smiles faded. The pride they wore like armor started to slip. They weren't standing on solid ground anymore. They were standing on the lies they told themselves about you. And now, those lies are sinking beneath them. You see, they thought their masks were permanent, that their little victories over you were eternal. But your glow-up wasn't just about success. It was about exposure. Your rise didn't just lift you, it dragged their shadows into the light. Now they're panicking, not because you're loud, but because your silence changed. It's not the silence of a victim anymore. It's the silence of someone who sees everything and no longer needs to explain. That's what's haunting them. That's what's keeping them up at night. They don't know how to face you now, because to face you means to face what they did, the lies they spread, the moments they laughed at your pain, the times they left you in the cold and called it tough love. The truth is reminding them that they were wrong, and worse, it's showing them what they could never be. Because you didn't just survive, you became untouchable. And now, the truth of who you are is standing tall while the illusions they built collapse one by one. You are the living proof that they got it all wrong, that you were never the broken one, that you were never meant to stay in the background, that the glow they thought would never come has now become the fire burning their false version of you to ashes. And here's the most devastating part. There's no going back for them, no more rewriting the story, no more pretending it didn't happen. The truth is out, and once the mask falls, it never fits the same again. Let them feel that. Let them sit in the tension of their own lies. Let them wrestle with the version of you they tried to destroy, now standing in front of them, bigger, brighter, and unbothered. Because the worst punishment for them isn't your revenge, it's your existence. They thought they had you figured out. They thought the story was over. But what they didn't realize is this: you were the plot twist. And now they're stuck in a story they don't control anymore. So stand tall, chosen one. Don't shrink back for their comfort. Don't dull your truth to spare their shame. Let it shine. Let it blind. Let it burn through every illusion they once believed. Because when the truth finally cracks the lie, it doesn't just expose the past. It redefines the future. And you are that future. Number 5. They tried to bury you. Now they're choking on the dust. The reckoning didn't knock. It didn't come gently. It showed up like a force of nature, wild and unapologetic, just like the storm they tried to silence in you. One by one, the things they used to hurt you began to snap back with brutal precision. Their words, once weapons, became curses hanging over their own heads. Their betrayals turned into traps they set for themselves. They didn't just fail, they fell hard, because the universe was watching the whole time, keeping score, taking notes. Every time they thought they got away with disrespect, every time they mocked your pain and felt no guilt, balance was quietly being prepared. And when the moment came, it didn't just nudge them, it leveled them. See, they thought they were powerful, thought they had the upper hand. They moved like kings and queens in a kingdom built on lies, fueled by ego. But they didn't realize that when you try to play God with someone chosen by the universe, you write your own downfall in bold. And now they're living it. The same power they tried to use to crush you, manipulation, gossip, gaslighting, betrayal, it's circling back around like a blade with no handle. Every move they made against you is now slashing their own foundation to pieces. They thought the game was over when you were on the ground, but you weren't down. You were becoming dangerous. And now that you've risen, there's no undoing it. Their world is collapsing under the weight of truth. Not because you attacked, but because you outgrew the prison they tried to keep you in. You didn't stoop to their level. You rose above it. And when you rise like that, the lies can't breathe around you. The masks fall off. The fake alliances break. The delusions crumble into dust. Now they're scrambling, lost in a storm they created. The ease they once had in hurting you, gone. Replaced with desperation, confusion, fear. They're haunted by the very energy they weaponized, because nothing hits harder than watching someone you tried to destroy become untouchable. And that's what you are now, untouchable. Not because you're hiding, not because you're protected by people, but because you're aligned with something greater. The universe doesn't choose lightly, and it doesn't let its chosen walk alone. Every ounce of pain they caused became fuel. Every betrayal became bricks in the fortress you now stand on. And let's be honest, they never thought they'd see this day. They thought their actions would stay buried, forgotten, that you'd stay broken, ashamed, silent. But the truth has a way of aging better than lies. While they were laughing at your scars, your spirit was preparing for the reveal. And now that it's here, it's louder than revenge. It's your glow-up. It's your greatness. It's your name being whispered with awe where it was once dragged in mud. They can't stop it. They can't explain it. And they definitely can't recover from it. Because here's the truth. This reckoning isn't about punishment. It's about exposure. It's about the law of return. What you put out, you get back. They put out destruction. You put out growth. They played games in darkness. You stayed rooted in light. Now the scoreboard is visible. And guess what? You didn't just survive. You won. Your life is the consequence they didn't see coming. Your strength is the sentence they now have to serve. Watching you thrive, while everything they built on lies turns to rubble. And deep down, they know it. You were never the one to fear. It was the truth inside you, the purpose you carry, the storm you are when you're done pretending to be small. Let them sit in the ashes of their delusions. Let them wonder how the one they tried to bury became the very proof that the universe plays no games when it protects its chosen. This is your time, your season, your reckoning, and theirs. You didn't have to lift a finger. The universe did what it always promised it would. It made things right, and it made you undeniable. Number 6. Now that you're on fire, they want your shade, but not your truth. They're coming back. You can feel it. That knock at the door, the DM out of nowhere, the just checking in text. Suddenly, the ones who turned their backs are remembering your name. Suddenly, they've seen the light. Suddenly, they want peace. But, chosen one, don't get it twisted. This isn't about love. This isn't about healing. This is about relief. They want back in, not because they finally see your worth, but because the weight of their own choices is unbearable. Their world is burning, and they're desperate for shade. Shade that only you can provide. But where were they when the fire was set? When they lit the match with lies, doused it with betrayal, and walked away smiling like they'd won. Now they can't handle the heat. Now they can't sleep. Now they want the same energy they tried to destroy. They will come with soft voices, fake humility, words that sound like apologies but taste like manipulation. They'll call it a misunderstanding. They'll act like time has healed it all. But you know better. You felt their actions. You survived the storm they created. And you carry the scars, not as pain, but as proof. They're not coming back because they've changed. They're coming back because you have. They see you glowing now, standing taller, speaking louder, walking in a power they pretended didn't exist. And it's killing them, not because they're heartbroken over losing you, but because they lost control. Their influence no longer works. Their words no longer matter. Their guilt doesn't move you like it used to. They thought you'd always be there, that you'd always answer, that your loyalty was unconditional, even when they gave you nothing but silence, shade, and betrayal. But chosen ones aren't doormats. We're gates. And once the gate closes, it's locked by destiny, not emotion. You were the oasis they laughed at until they got thirsty. You were the shelter they mocked until their house collapsed. You were the fire they tried to smother. Now they can't handle the warmth of your truth. Let's make something clear. Regret is not the same as repentance. Regret is selfish. It's what they feel when consequences show up. It's not about you, it's about them, about escaping accountability, about avoiding discomfort. True remorse comes with change, with effort, with consistency. And these people, they just want relief. They want to step back into your presence and inhale peace again. But that peace isn't free. It was forged in fire. It cost you everything. And they don't get to have access just because they're uncomfortable. Remember the silence when you cried out. Remember the cold when they walked away. Remember the shame they let you carry while they laughed in rooms you weren't invited to. They do, but now their smiles are gone. The rooms are smaller. The jokes aren't funny anymore. Because karma doesn't knock, it kicks the door in. And they're learning in real time what it feels like to live without you. They thought your light was optional. Now they realize it was their only way out of the dark. They thought your loyalty was endless. Now they're begging for a second chance they never gave you. But you've outgrown the need to be understood by people who only knew how to misuse you. You've outlived their projections. You've outshined their attempts to dim you. So when they show up with trembling hands and rehearsed apologies, remember, they want access, not accountability. They want what you carry, not who you are. And that's not love. That's survival. Let them survive without you. Let them sit in the fire they built. Let them feel the heat they never thought would touch them. This is not your burden anymore. This is their consequence. You've evolved. You've elevated. You're untouchable. And if they want back in, tell them this. The bridge burned for a reason. And that reason is walking in power now. Far beyond the reach of false love, fake friends, and unfinished lessons. Keep walking, chosen one. They made their choice. Now they can live with the flame. Number 7. Not everyone deserves access to the flame. They tried to kill. They're circling back again, crawling from the ashes they created, hoping to stand once more in the warmth of your light. They come with soft words now, gentle eyes, and a voice that trembles just enough to seem sincere. They'll swear they never meant to hurt you, that the fire wasn't their fault, that their betrayal wasn't personal. But chosen one, don't be fooled. This is not about healing. This is not about closure. This is about survival. Theirs, not yours. They see you now, radiant, unshakable, still standing after everything. That same fire they once tried to snuff out now dances around you, powerful and untamed. And suddenly, they want back in, not because they love you, not because they've changed, but because their world has gone cold, and you're the only source of light they remember. But your light is not a public service. It's not a shelter for those who tried to burn the house down. It's not a second chance for people who showed you repeatedly that they don't know what to do with a rare soul like yours. They aren't looking for redemption. They're looking for refuge. They aren't sorry for what they did. They're sorry that it didn't work, that you didn't stay broken, that you didn't stay small, that you didn't disappear in the smoke. So now they want to pretend the past didn't happen. They want you to forget the betrayal, overlook the silence, ignore the way they watched you suffer and felt nothing. But here's what they don't understand. You're no longer the version of yourself that tolerated their chaos. You don't owe them access. You don't owe them comfort. You don't owe them anything. Because they are not drawn to your heart. They are drawn to your power. And power, in the wrong hands, becomes a weapon. They already proved they can't be trusted with you. So what makes you think they deserve a second swing? They carry the same energy, the same entitlement, the same twisted sense of control. They'll come as changed people, but they're just desperate ones. And if you let them back in, even a little, their chaos will come too. Not all at once, not immediately, but like smoke under a door, it'll slip in and poison the room before you even realize what's happening. Guard your light, guard your peace, guard your becoming. You've worked too hard to rebuild what they tried to destroy. You cried too many nights, healed too many wounds, found too much clarity to let them fog it up again with their half-truths and masked intentions. They didn't just hurt you, they tried to erase you. And now that they can't, they want to be close to what they couldn't kill. That's not love. That's lust for your strength. That's not reconciliation. That's re-entry. And chosen ones. Not everyone deserves to circle back. They had their chance. They made their choices. And now they have to live with the weight of being on the outside. Let them watch. Let them feel the distance. Let them sit in the discomfort of losing access to someone the universe hand-selected. You were chosen for more than being someone's healing station. Your light has purpose. It's meant to lead, to awaken, to transform, not to be drained by people who never respected its value until it left. They want to bathe in your light now. Let them burn in their own shadows instead. And remember this, you don't protect your peace by saying yes. You protect it by knowing when to say never again. You're not cold, you're not heartless, you're wise, you're aware, you've evolved. You no longer save those who set the fire and beg to be rescued once the flames reach their own feet. So when they come back, and they will, stay rooted, stay guarded, stay lit. Because your light, it's sacred, and it's not for everyone, especially not for those who tried to destroy it. Number 8. Now they burn in the fire they said would never touch them. They thought they were untouchable, that consequences were only for the weak, for the naive, that the harm they inflicted would dissolve with time, that the lies they told would remain buried. They believed that silence would protect them, that if enough people forgot, if you forgot, then the slate would magically wipe clean. But the universe never forgets. Now they feel the heat, not just guilt, not just regret, but the raw pressure of accountability from something much bigger than them. Not a person, not a system, a force that moves through everything, seen and unseen. A force they thought they could manipulate. A force they ignored while they played judge, jury, and executioner in your life. But now, that force is moving through their lives like a wildfire. This isn't punishment, it's balance. They called your pain drama. They called your silence weakness. They dismissed your truth because it didn't fit their narrative. But truth doesn't wait for permission. And when it arrives, it doesn't knock. It blazes. It scorches everything in its path that isn't rooted in integrity. That's what's happening now. They're not just facing shame. They're facing the collapse of the illusion they built around themselves. Every betrayal, every manipulation, every intention they thought they hid in the dark is now lit up under a heat they can't outrun. This isn't karma in poetic theory. This is cause and effect, stripped bare and unstoppable. It's not personal, it's universal. This energy doesn't take sides. It works with truth. It works with alignment. And those who operate in deception, cruelty, and self-interest eventually meet the force that restores what was thrown off balance. And make no mistake, they knew what they were doing. They just never thought they'd get caught in the ripple. But ripples become waves, and those waves are crashing down now, loud, heavy, and merciless. They called you too sensitive, said you were overreacting, pretended like your tears weren't real, and your instincts were just paranoia. But now they're feeling the very same heat they tried to make you believe didn't exist. Their words echo back at them. Their actions haunt them. They can't escape the fire because they started it. And you don't even have to lift a finger. The same force that saw your heart break is the same force that is now applying pressure where it's due. The same universe that saw your loyalty turned into a weapon is now restoring the balance. This is not vengeance. It's not some cosmic revenge fantasy. It's simply justice, pure, neutral, and precise. You tried to move forward with grace. You tried to forgive, to understand, even when it wasn't your burden. But there comes a time when the universe says, enough, and that time has come. Let them feel it. Let them sit in the fire they denied, mocked, and dismissed. Let them wrestle with their reflection now that it finally shows the truth. This isn't your fire to put out. It's not your job to ease their discomfort. They had a choice. Many, in fact. And every single time, they chose themselves at the cost of your soul. And now, the weight of that cost is being collected. What's happening to them isn't random. It isn't cruel. It's not unfair. It's precise. It's earned, and the worst part for them, they know it. They know why things are falling apart. They know why people are walking away. They know why their mind feels heavy and their sleep feels broken. Because you weren't just a person they hurt. You were a trigger point in a system they disrupted. You were part of something bigger, and hurting you had a cost they didn't factor in. They tried to bend the laws of cause and effect, and now they're learning. Those laws don't break. They break you. So don't feel bad. Don't flinch. Don't open the door just because they're sweating in the heat they swore wasn't real. Stay grounded. Stay aligned. And watch how the truth finishes what it started. The universe doesn't punish. It corrects. And this correction, it's long overdue. Number 9. You don't owe them peace. You are the storm they tried to silence. You owe them nothing. Not your forgiveness. Not your time. Not your presence. They had their chance. They made their choices. They knew exactly what they were doing when they turned their backs, twisted the knife, and smiled while you bled. Don't let the sound of their apologies fool you now. Don't let the soft tone of their regret distract you from the fire they tried to drown you in. Going back would be like walking back into a house you escaped while it was still burning. Only this time, you'd be setting yourself on fire with your own hands. They don't want healing. They want access. They don't want peace. They want proximity to what they can no longer touch. But you, chosen one, you're beyond them now. The same truth they mocked now blinds them. The same light they tried to dim now scorches their illusions. The same power they tried to belittle now echoes through every room they once controlled. You didn't just survive their chaos, you outgrew it. You evolved into something they were never prepared to witness. And now they can't stand to look at you, not because of hate, but because of shame. You are the living proof of everything they failed to become. So stand tall, not in arrogance, but in alignment, not in ego, but in truth. Your power is not loud, but it is undeniable. Your presence doesn't beg, it commands. You no longer have to prove anything to anyone, especially not to those who couldn't see your worth until the whole world started to reflect it back at them. You are beyond the reach of people who only loved you when you were easy to ignore. You are beyond the reach of those who only stayed loyal when you were small enough to control. They didn't want your light. They wanted your silence. And now, that silence has turned into a roar they can't escape. Let them burn in their own regret. Let the consequences of their actions sit heavy on their shoulders. That weight, it's not yours to carry. That chaos, not yours to clean up. That heat, it's not meant for you anymore. You passed through it. You became it. And now it no longer touches you because it answers to you. The old, you might have looked back, might have softened, might have opened the door again just to be nice. But the new you, the true you, understands something deeper. You don't throw lifelines to people who set fire to the boat. This is your moment, your truth, your light. It belongs to you, and you're not just carrying it for yourself. You're carrying it for every chosen one, still climbing, still fighting, still silencing the voice in their head that says they're not enough. So now, it's your turn to speak. Have you seen them crumble under the weight of their own actions? Have you watched the ones who tried to crush you fall apart in the silence you now thrive in? Then share it. Let your story be a torch in the dark. Let your voice break the silence for someone else who's still healing, still questioning their worth, still waiting for their moment to rise. You didn't come this far to hide. You didn't survive the fire just to whisper your truth. You are the truth. And remember this, chosen one, you do not rise alone. There's a sanctuary for those who've walked through hell and refused to come out hollow. A place where power isn't feared, it's celebrated. Where your voice isn't silenced, it's amplified. That place is the obsidian inner order, where those like you come to grow, conquer, and stand in their light together. The link is in the description below. Step forward in strength. Leave the ashes behind. Let their heat stay far beneath you. You are not here to be understood by the ones who once tried to erase you. You are here to lead, to shine, and to show others how unbreakable a soul becomes when it refuses to die in the dark. Stand tall. You are beyond them now, and they will never touch you again.